Hey, all you contract cowboys and open house heroes out there. So if you've got more closings than your favorite Marvel movie has post-credit scene, then you are killing it. But if not, don't worry, because we've got your back today. So you ever wonder how some realtors seem to crush it no matter what the market looks like? Up market, down market, doesn't matter. They still keep getting listings and helping buyers find the homes of their dreams each and every month. And if you're striving to be that kind of agent, then you are in luck. Today, we're diving into a game plan for thriving in a down market, what to do, when to do it, and looking under rocks for some unique ways to generate some income in a slower than usual market. So grab a pen, because you're going to want to take some notes today. This is the Texas Real Estate and Finance Podcast, here each week to help you become a master at your craft with expert tips on how to grow your business and live the life that you've always wanted. I'm your host, Mike Mills, a North Texas mortgage banker with Geneva Financial. And when I'm not here behind this microphone, I'm out there helping you and your clients get into the perfect home loan and find options and solutions to problems that you may have never considered. So whether it be your standard conventional FHA or VA loan, or even a home equity line of credit, construction loan, or rehab loan, my team and I have you covered. So if you need help with that next big purchase, give me a call and we can walk you through all the options. Now, before we get into the good stuff, I've got a small ask. If you are picking up what we're putting down today, whether it's a golden nugget of wisdom or game-changing tip, make sure that you smash that like button, subscribe, and share this with a colleague or a friend in the biz. Your support helps us spread the word and keep our real estate community thriving. You guys are the fuel that keeps this little show moving, and I appreciate each and every one of you. So please tell a friend. It would put a huge smile on this smooth-skulled face of mine. All right, enough about me and the show. Let's get to it. So my guest today is the #1 contributor to the podcast, a North Texas realtor with over 20 years of experience in this game. He's a single-family investor, a multifamily investor, commercial investor, and he's building an entire neighborhood. He does construction. He hosts a YouTube channel show about real estate investing. He's a father, a coach, and a really good friend of mine. This guy's forgotten more about how to make money in this business than most of us have ever even learned. And he is here again for the 7th time to drop some knowledge on us. So please welcome to the podcast, Mr. Conrad Jackson. Conrad.
Hey, what's going on?
How we doing, sir?
I appreciate that round of applause.
You got it. So we're back at it, man. I appreciate you coming in. You're always my go-to whenever I have a gap in the schedule, and I appreciate you being there for me all the time. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
All right. So first off, before we kind of get into some stuff, I always love having you here because, you know, we're honest with each other. You know, we talk about the truth. There is no sunshine and roses and how things are going. So, excuse me. I think sometimes that, you know, when we look on social media and we see realtors and lenders and whatever, everybody's doing awesome all the time. Like they're doing great. They're killing it. Best year of their life. Right.
For sure.
But you know, when you're 30% down in a market at any given time of year, which is what we are, especially on even bigger on turnover for existing homes, not everybody's doing great, right? So what would you say, you know, to tell everybody out there, like, how's business going for you, realistically? And then, you know, what would you say to somebody who sees everything out there where it looks like everybody's doing great, but the reality situation might be a little bit different?
So first, full disclosure, I did just come from the dentist. So I didn't tell you this, the whole right side of my face is numb, so I can't feel anything. So if my words are slurred, you can't understand me. I'm probably not talking about anything important. But if you know, if that's the case, then that's why.
Got it.
How am I doing? Number one, I'm doing fine. You know, it's one of those things where COVID year was like gasoline on the fire, and it just exploded everybody's business. Reality is real estate's hard right now. Real estate is hard. Investing is hard. Being a realtor and helping people market their properties for sale is difficult. It's back a little more to, you know, the market when I started many years ago, where you had to really work for those listings. You had to really work to keep those buyers active. You had to work really closely with those lenders and title companies to make sure that you got the right fit for that particular person in their situation. You can't just, you know, make a post and get clients and then they're buying houses from you forever and referring everybody. You have to work.
Yes.
And so, you know, for that, you know, that's one of the things that coming out of a market like we just came out of, where everything was easy, it has turned to more of the difficult meter. as opposed to the easy button where it's like, boom, I hit this button, I pick up the phone, I got 6 new clients.
Yes.
You know, those days are gone for at least for the short term.
Yeah.
So, okay, your second question, I'm trying to remember.
Well, okay, so pause on that. I'm going to do something real quick because I think some adjustment here and my signals get a little weak. But I do want you to say, while I do this, I want you to, if you have somebody out there that is, you know, somebody that's listening to this that's struggling right now with their business, you know, and seeing everybody else looking like, you know, they're killing it. What do you think the reality of the market is and as a whole right now?
Man, I would say perception is reality. I know that in any instance, when you look online, you see a lot of these things that look like they're amazing, right? People posting, hey, I just closed this one, I just put this one under contract. It's perception. What we're trying to do as marketers is we're trying to give you the impression that we're always busy, we're always successful, we are always closing real estate deals, and some people might actually be doing that.
Sure.
But the vast majority of people who are posting on social media that they're killing it every day, they're not usually. How do you know as a realtor? Okay, well, what do? I usually lean on the people in the industry to kind of gauge how other, you know, agents are doing. I will talk to my title company. I will talk to lenders. I will talk to other agents or other brokers and say, hey, who's killing it in your office right now? Who's the one bringing in a bunch of these deals? Because I see this on social media all the time, and this person is just everywhere. And a lot of times the responses I get are, they closed 2 deals.
Right.
As opposed to the 17 that they posted over the last 30 days.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's certainly, look, there are certainly people out there that are still doing tremendously well right now. Like there's no doubt about that. That's going on. But, you know, and then the other side of it too, when it comes to the marketing and advertising piece of it, and I believe in this myself, is like, you have to believe that you're doing well and that you're going to do well. Like you can't, you know, fall into a spiral of despair because, you know, you didn't close a loan or you didn't close a purchase contract in the last 2 weeks or whatever, or last 2 months or whatever it is. Like you have to believe that you're going to get yourself out of it and that you're going to work out of it, because if you don't, then you know, you're cooked no matter what. Right. You know, if you're living around in sadness. So I think it's a mixture of like, hey, yes, there are certain folks out there. Well, you know, another part of it too is there's just people that do a good job posting on social media.
Absolutely. Right? Some people are amazing at that, and that helps transform their business in reality. But, you know, there's a lot of people out there that are, you know, some people speak it into existence. Some people are just, you know, specifically trying to make sure that you see them every day doing something that is successful through this business. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it's a perception that is a little bit different than reality when we start talking about, you know, like you said, the numbers are down 30%, the market is down 30%. Okay, well, how can everybody be killing it and all these numbers are still down? It's just perception. So you got to make sure that you understand, okay, in this day and age, when I'm choosing somebody, is this the right fit for me?
Right.
Based off of my needs and my wants and my goals, and not just go off of what you see online.
So what have you done to really start adjusting, you know, when the market slowed down and you're like, okay, now I've got to, you know, I've got to get things moving a little bit more. I got to do things different. Let's put it that way. Right. So what have you, you know, what kind of practices, what kind of processes and stuff have you enacted to try to really start upping your game a little bit since everything is slowed? Because I mean, at this point, we're a good solid 2 years into it, basically. So what have you started to do? So what have you done? I should say.
I think my approach is, I'm more old school. I started, you know, with the old school mentality of this is how you work. That you have to make a certain amount of calls, certain amount of appointments, certain amount of things you got to do every day in order to be successful. And so coming out of the COVID years, you know, the market was way different. You didn't have to do half of those things in order to still be successful. And so now what we're doing, which most good agents, most solid agents will tell you, is we're kind of going back to the basics.
Right.
You know, we're getting a routine and a schedule down. We're trying to make sure that our time is limited on certain things and our time is spent more on high return on investment items, such as making these calls, setting these appointments throughout certain points of the day, not just doing it whenever it's available.
Right.
Okay, I have a set schedule from the morning. I have to get up in the morning. I have to eat. I have to try to get some exercise throughout the week to make sure that I'm mentally prepared and physically capable to take on new clients. And then once I do, once I have that schedule set, stick to it. Really try to hold yourself accountable and not veer from it too much. Those are the, you know, the root causes and the foundation that you're laying every day in order to make sure that you're successful in when you are dealing with clients or trying to acquire new people. You have to make a certain amount of calls. You have to make a certain amount of appointments. You have to look at a certain amount of homes per week in order for this thing to go the way you want it to go.
Well, okay, so I want you to stay on that for a second, because this is something I honestly very much believe in, but I don't think a lot of people understand the importance of it. When you talk about, your routine and your daily activities and what you do, a big piece of that is you wake up at the same time, you exercise, you get yourself right, your mind right, because you can't function sometimes well, or at least your brain doesn't function well if you don't take care of your body first.
Yeah.
And I think when people get it to a place where business is slower and they feel like they need to do more, that's the first thing that goes.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about why that is really something that, of all the things to let go of, and push aside, that it probably shouldn't be that thing?
Yeah, I just think it's really important for health and wellness. If you're not mentally prepared, right, because you're tired all the time, if you're not mentally prepared to take that phone call from that person who had an interest in something, some type of real estate transaction, right? If you're not, because you're awake, you just woke up at 11,
right?
Middle of the day, and you're just waking up, you're still groggy, and you're not ready and prepared to take that call, then you miss out on business. I heard, I don't know how true this is, but I heard recently for another source that every call, especially in our area in North Texas, every call that you miss as a realtor is potentially worth about $9,000.
Really?
Yeah, every real estate call.
Okay.
So if I missed 4 calls that day, how much money did I leave on the table?
Right.
Well, if I've got up on my schedule and I've got the juices flowing, I've actually worked out, which for me is, my working out is different than the next person's.
Sure, everybody's routine.
My thought of working out is, okay, I need to get a certain amount of cardio in per week and a certain amount of exercise movement going left laterally, right? My wife gets up every day at like 4 something and goes to the gym.
Yeah,
she's home by 6.
Yes.
And she takes kids. So she's a different animal than I am. I play basketball one time a week. It's high intensity basketball in a gym with no air conditioning, and it's very difficult. And I feel like I'm going to die afterwards, but I got a week's worth of cardio out of it.
Well, and you coach kids in basketball as well.
Correct.
And anybody that's ever coached anybody knows that you're not just the guy standing on the sideline. Like there's a lot of movement involved with that.
Exactly. So I think that that's very important in getting your creative juices flowing for the day, making sure that you're not eating like trash every single day, because if you do, it really affects your how you feel physically, which affects what you can do mentally.
Yeah.
If you mentally are prepared and sharp because you did what you needed to do early in the day or late in the day, so that way you're fresh in the morning, and you've eaten somewhat decent throughout the day, when those calls or those opportunities come in, you're ready for them.
Yeah.
You're more prepared for them than you would be if you just rolled out of bed whenever you wanted to every day.
Yeah.
It's just, you miss too many opportunities that way. So I think that component is important, shouldn't be discounted when we're talking about your personal success and how you're going to get there. You got to be ready.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm a big believer in, you have to get your head in the right space. And part of that, because again, this idea that, if things aren't going well or you're not blowing and going, you've got to stay positive about it, because the moment you get into a pit of despair, then you're going to be dead meat.
Yeah.
But the thing that people miss on that is, in order to not get there, often you have to take care of your physical body, because when you're lethargic and tired and you don't have energy, and then all the bad stuff seems that much worse.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And you miss out on the good stuff, and you miss out on the opportunities, because your brain's not operating at its highest capacity, because you've slept all day, or you're upset because something happened, you just can't get over it, or whatever the case may be. So I think that plays such a huge role in being able to thrive in whatever business you are. It doesn't matter. Real estate, lending, anything. You have to have your head in the right place, and you have to take care of your body. So
for sure.
All right. So that's one thing. So then now let's assume we're kind of, blowing and going at this point. We've taken care of ourselves. What if you're sitting there as a realtor without any business right now, or you're hearing the crickets, as I like to say, then, where should you start? Like, what should be a focus to begin with, to say, okay, I've got to do this. What's an activity or a couple of activities that people could do that maybe they haven't done or haven't done in the past, that would really get those things going and lead to other opportunities?
I think people discount their network. Too much,
Okay.
these days.
Well,
I
people
think,
say I work off my sphere all the time. That's their
yeah,
number one answer, but
yeah, but I mean, what is your sphere? Is your sphere your family, or is your sphere your community, right? Your community are the people that you see often throughout the week, typically more than one time a week. It could be the person at the grocery store who always bags your groceries. It could be, somebody at the post office that you always run into in passing, people that your kids have played in a sport with, and you see their parent. Like, working your sphere doesn't just mean, okay, I'm talking to my sister and my sister bought a house last year, so I'm done. My uncle ain't buying a house because he's done,
Yes.
So you got to actually, work outside of those boundaries and say, okay, well, my sphere is bigger than just my immediate family.
Right.
We are all, I feel like, for the most part, guilty of being on screen time way too much. When you're on that screen time, you're typically on a Facebook or an Instagram. Okay, so are we just swiping? Or are we actually connecting with people that follow us? Why are they following you? Where are you going? If you're not going anywhere, why are they following you? Well, some people are actually following you. Okay, so are you connecting and reaching out to them on a regular basis? And it doesn't always have to be real estate related. It could be, hi, hello, how's your family? How are you doing? We haven't spoken in a while, which eventually leads into more context, which eventually leads into your segue into letting them know that you're available to help them in this business. Staying in front of people is very important, but I think the easiest thing that we can do right now is just work our community, work the community online and the community offline. That's the people you're running into every day in the car pickup line, letting them know, wearing your t-shirts that have your logo, just interacting with people. And then once you have made a connection with that person, take note of it and make a schedule from it. Okay, I ran into this person, and every time that you talk to them, you'd let them know, hey, I'm going to reach out to you in a week or so, or a couple of weeks, and then do it.
Yeah. Then you actually have to follow through.
Well, I think we spend a lot of money these days on these amazing leads that are going to generate all this business. And then we're buying all this software that's going to generate all this business. Well, the software and the leads they're supposed to help you sustain the business that you have. But you already have everything you need in your community. You already have everything you need. You just have to actually talk to these people, connect with these people, consistently follow up with these people. And in order to do that, you have to have some type of schedule. If you're not following that schedule, then
the day's setting itself for you.
You're just freestyling. And you don't freestyle to success these days.
No. You can't wander your way through it. It doesn't typically work. Speaking on the sphere thing, this is something that we mentioned it a little bit heading into it, and you've brought it up a couple times, but you do really well in this. This is actually, how my wife and I built our business was being involved. Right.
Correct.
So part of working your sphere that a lot of folks don't think about is you have to get involved in your community doing something.
Sure.
And I always recommend do something that you love to do, obviously, right? If you're very if you go to church every Sunday and go to, your youth groups and you go to all, then get involved with your church. If you love reading books, find a book club. If you're a pet owner and, you just obsessed with your animals, then go find a pet community to get involved with and whatever adoptions and things of that nature. But you and I have a similar path in that, we both played sports. We got our kids involved in sports at a young age. And we both coach. I'm since retired because mine are older, but you're in the thick of it right now. So, and your wife's involved with it too. So I want you to talk a little bit about what that's been like and how, are you going to get a deal from every kid that you coach? Of course not. But it is about connecting with people in your community and them seeing you all the time and knowing that you're passionate about stuff. So talk about how the involvement with the teams and Kay's involvement with the schools and stuff, how that's helped you guys.
I think as any successful agent, we have to have some type of balance, right? We're overly obsessive about our goals and the things that we want to do and accomplish through our business. And so you have to have that balance to help equal out, the stresses of that business. And one of the ways that we found as stress relievers is, of course, making sure that you're exercising, working out, staying active, but also getting involved in the community. How does that affect your business? I mean, it's huge. It's ridiculous. I grew up in this area, right? And so most of my connections came from sports as a kid in this area, right? And so now with my oldest being in high school and my youngest being in, first grade, I have a wide range of spectrum where I recognize people pretty much everywhere that I go.
Yeah.
Well, that for me is a benefit. My wife hates it, but every time I go somewhere, no matter where we are,
Yes.
really in the United States, I've seen somebody that I've known.
Yeah.
I've ran into somebody that I've had a dealings with. So, you know, when you coach your kids, you know, sports teams, you get to know the parents. Then you get to know the parents' other kids, you know, then you get to know the relatives who come to watch those kids.
And the people that organize the leagues and coordinate the events.
The other coaches, the other tournament
people you order uniforms from.
Exactly. So all of these people now have a relationship with you. Now, so, you know, take that one step further. Now we're all connected through social media. When we're trying to, as a coach, figure out who we're going to play in this tournament, that's, you know, somewhere else in our DFW area, we immediately go to social media and look up their team.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me see who this person, let me see what, you know, what these kids look like, what their skill level is, so we can kind of get an idea if we want to play in this tournament at all, if it's a good fit for us. Should we play up? Should we play, you know, our age limit, you know, those things. So now everybody's not only seeing you in person, but you're connected in social media. Well, what does that do? It brings more eyes on you.
Right.
And when you get those eyes on you, it's your opportunity to tell the world what you do and what you're good at.
Right.
That affects your business. Okay. My oldest started, you know, in marching band this year for high school. Okay. So now as a parent, not only do I coach, but I also volunteer a part of the pit crew to bring the instruments on the field for all the football games and all the band competitions. My wife helps sell the merchandise to help raise money for the boosters. So that way they can have money to feed the kids or take them here or to go on outings and experiences, go to Orlando for their competition, things like that.
Yeah.
Well, what does that do? That just allows us to meet and connect with more people in our current community where we currently live and work.
Yeah.
And that helps bring more eyes on our business. These people are now reaching out to us on social media, trying to connect with us that way because they recognize us, because they realize, hey, you also know this person who you coached this kid. You know, we got that this week where somebody from the team that you coached.
Okay, yeah, the Red Raiders.
Yes. Where our oldest or my oldest, your youngest, played on the same team. And now that person, another teammate's mom, recognized that we went to this school, and her sister also has a kid in that same band organization. So then the sister reaches out to my wife on social media and tries. So and now it's like, all right, now you have another set of eyes on you. Yeah. Right. And so what does that do? It just allows you to tell your story. And when you're telling your story, that can turn into business if you have done your schedule and you're mentally and physically prepared to take on that opportunity. Yeah. All of this thing is a big circle that funnels right back to you.
Yeah. It's hard because when you're in it, when you're in the midst of it and you're doing all the stuff, you don't think of the business all the time. Right. You know, it becomes a secondary thing. And you know what, look, when you're spending time with your kids and your family, you know, business shouldn't dominate it. But what you have to understand though, is that you're killing two birds with one stone here.
You are.
Right. You are doing something, you're spending time with your family, you're getting involved in your community, and you are doing it because you enjoy it, because you love doing it. But then you're also creating opportunities for your business at the same time.
For sure.
So anytime you can get involved in and look, I know everybody doesn't have kids out there, so this isn't, you know, there's other ways to do it.
Absolutely.
It's just thinking in the same terms of, okay, how can I take this thing that I really love to do? Who was it? There's a guy online, and I can't remember his name. I'll think of it in a second. But he talks about, you know, when you hear the thing about if you just find the thing that you love, then you'll make money at it. And he's like, that's bullshit. He's like, if you find the thing that you're really, really good at, whether you love it or not, but you're really good at, you'll make money at that thing. Yeah. Right. But sometimes the thing that you love, like I love coaching my kids, right? Yeah. Well, you know, I know what the path of coaching looks like. It's not necessarily a lucrative thing unless you're the top 1.111%.
Absolutely.
You've given your entire life to it. So that's my passion, but I don't, you know, I make money at it.
Yeah.
But I can take my passion of spending time with my family and my kids and coaching and doing that, and I can help that enhance the thing that I'm good at, which is talking to people and selling mortgages. And so you can take something that you're passionate about, even though you can't quote make money at it, maybe you can still use it as leverage in your business to grow your sphere and show people that you're passionate.
Or vice versa. You can be really good at this thing to help generate enough income or revenue coming through the door to where you can focus more time on what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you love saving rescue animals but it doesn't really make you any money,
right?
be really good at this thing, your
Yeah.
job, your main occupation, and then use the excess time that you gain and the excess money that you gain to help pour into a foundation that will help that and allow you to volunteer and do that. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It can be both.
Right.
You just have to understand what people want and how you can approach getting there. Everything that you want takes sacrifice.
Yes.
It's a sacrifice. You're either going to sacrifice time, you're going to sacrifice money, you're going to sacrifice something else that you want to do at that time in order to be successful.
Yep.
Right. We have to understand that we can't I think that I really feel like the COVID years really hurt a lot of people because we just ultimately became lazy, myself included, to a certain extent.
Oh yeah,
we became lazy. Everything became easy. You got spoon fed your money. You got spoon fed your business. You didn't have to go out. Everything.
You could stay in the house.
Yeah, and you could be at home all day. And it's like, all right, now that's over. Okay,
Yeah.
so now you have to actually get to work.
Yeah,
and that's the thing that I feel like people are struggling with. They're having to relearn how to walk in this business, and you have to get back to the basics. In my opinion is you have to start fresh, and I need to make my schedule. I need to see that schedule every day. I need to make sure I eat right. I need to make sure I exercise. I have a certain amount of touch points where I have to hit people a certain amount of times per month in order for them to actually pick up the phone and call me.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to get to.
So, all right. So schedule, we've got routine, we've got get involved, grow your sphere, be involved in your community. So now we're doing those things. Now, how do we promote ourselves? What are we needing to do, as far as marketing activities go, to make sure that people see us, know where we're at? And, I know social media obviously is going to play a role in this.
Yeah.
But just from simplicity point of view, because I think a lot of people will try to what we call eat the whale, right? They want to do everything all at once. And it's like, okay, you can't do all the things, because if you do all the things, then you're going to do all the things not so great.
Yeah.
So pick one or two things and work hard on them. But so obviously everybody's going to be a little different in their approach to it. But from your point of view, like, what do you think are some of the most beneficial marketing activities outside of, working your sphere? Or maybe it's working your sphere, but it's doing it using technology tools or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I think today's answer is a lot different than 10 years ago's answer. Okay. So the first thing you got to say when you're talking about how am I going to market myself and how am I going to market my business successfully is you have to be very, very intentional about the time that you're going to spend and what you're going to do during that time. You have to have a plan. It's like anything else. If you don't have a plan, you're planning to fail. Okay. Yep. And so let's just get that out of the way. That's not a step. That's just, hey, this is the mindset you have to have going into
everything's got to have a plan. You can't just walk into it. Yes.
Right. You can't just buy this ad and it's going to magically work.
You got to plan your day to wake up. You got to plan your routine. You got to plan your marketing. You got to plan everything.
Correct. You do have to diversify. I know that we don't want to do too many things, but you have to do more than one thing. You know what your one thing is. If you're great at hot yoga and hot yoga brings in the clients, all right, well, you hot yoga that sucker to death because that's your bread and butter. Right. But you also have to advertise a certain amount online in social media. Okay. You have to buy a certain amount of ad space somewhere. Okay.
So you think buying ad space is a good move these days?
Depends on where you're buying it. Like for me, depending on also where you are in your business. Sure. I bought a billboard.
I saw it. Yeah.
And I bought into that billboard for over a year and a half. Okay. Right. And I still make money from it. Really? And the billboards are long gone.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And what I do now is I have a picture of that billboard on my social media.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You just put it out there. Yeah. Like,
hey, you're like, hey, where's that? Oh, here's where it was.
Yeah.
It's
not there anymore.
So, I mean, I think that works. I think you've been really big on trying to push the issue of AI. I think that you're going to need to incorporate that into your business somehow. Yes. I'm still trying to figure out how exactly I'm going to incorporate it, but I have a couple of ideas as to how I'm going to do it. Okay. I think that, the campaigns, the smart campaigns, don't really cost you a lot of money, and you can add video with them. Mm-hmm. So those get you a lot of engagement. When you have video, it takes everything to the next level. Yeah. So you have to have a little bit of that. Yeah. Okay. You still have to do the hard piece mailing, and you whether it's a door knocker, whether it's a mail out, a postcard or whatever, that cannot be, eliminated from your business these days, because there's a certain demographic of people that just, they look at their mail and they're calling the stuff that they get from
and there's less things in the mail, honestly.
Right. Because everything's hitting you online now.
Everything's online. So they say advertise where everyone else isn't.
For sure.
And if your mailbox, if you go to, check, if you go to your mailbox every day, some days you go, there's literally nothing.
Right.
And then some days you might have 2 or 3 pieces, maybe on the weekends as you roll into Friday, you'll get the little flyer for the grocery store or whatever. But other than that, it's pretty empty. So that's a great place to be.
Yeah. I think if you're starting, I think that's a good starting space for you. Okay. I've got piecemeal marketing. I've got online. Your sphere is always going to be a marketing deal, but buying your ad space, a certain amount of ad space, when you are marketing online through like Facebook or Instagram or something like that, Property Boost is amazing. It's probably the best one that I've seen.
Okay.
To get you the engagement.
So it takes like a particular listing, and then
it'll take a property, right? And you can turn around and promote that property. Say especially if it's your listing, promote that property, to get a certain amount of clicks.
Okay.
Usually the entry to barrier to entry is like $60. $60 will get you about a week.
Yeah.
Probably anywhere for a few hundred clicks.
Okay.
And you really only need one good click,
right,
to turn into an opportunity, to turn into a sale.
Yeah.
You could spend up to like 200 or so bucks, and you'll get 30 days, and that'll get you a few thousand clicks on it. And when we say clicks, that's somebody actually clicking your advertisement and being taken somewhere to where you are controlling what they see,
right,
and what they do, and have eyes on what they are doing online.
Right.
That's been a really big one as of late.
Okay.
AdWorks is another one, but AdWorks is more of advertising you as opposed to a specific property. So it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
I think more people would be able to use AdWorks to their advantage if you don't have a bunch of properties out there.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit more pricey.
I wonder if on the ad thing, it's just thought I had it. I wonder if there's more engagement right now because, and I just see this looking at social media, is like, if you were just a regular person and you teacher or whatever, firefighter, police officer, and you put on social media, I'm looking for someone to help me buy a house.
Yeah.
How many comments? And I mean,
it's
you're going to be
astronomical,
inundated, right?
It's astronomical whenever I get a post, even when somebody mentions me in a post like that.
Right.
Hey, tag me in your favorite realtor. I'm about to buy a house.
Comments.
And it's a million of those suckers.
Yes.
And so I'm tagged in there. And so I see all of the clicks and everything behind that, and it's just like, there's an opportunity. You don't have to be a genius in this space in order to get engagement.
Well, my point on that though is that with ad space, when you're doing ads and someone is looking online, even though they may know a realtor, whatever, they're going to be kind of like low key looking, right? Because they don't want to tell the world just yet that they're looking for a house, because they feel like they might just get swamped with people like calling them all the time. So
and they don't want to offend people.
Yes. So they're kind of quietly. I know 7 realtors, and I don't want to make anybody. So, the more that they can get directly to you because you're putting an ad for a listing that you have or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that is a good route, because I mean, truly, like, if you post an ad on your listing, the odds that people in your sphere are going to see it are probably pretty high.
Yeah.
So because the way the algorithms work within social media is they're actually going to show it to people in your area. They're going to show it to potential home, people that are looking for homes.
For sure.
Certain demographics. Well, I mean, if you're in that area, so, I mean, odds are they're probably going to see it.
They're going to see it.
So that gives them a way to access you and come to you and remind that you do this, because they may have 7 people that they do that are realtors that they know.
Yeah.
But they keep seeing you, and they're like, you know what? I feel like he just really knows what's going on. So I'm gonna call him.
Yeah. I mean, that's the name of the game. That's what you want. That's the goal, is just be visible,
and
be visible all the time. So when you think of real estate, you think of Conrad Jackson.
Yes.
That's what we want in this business. We are the brand, so something as simple as like, my wife creatively, made these t-shirts, so that way we can have our logo and our business with the website across the back. So no matter whether you're talking or not, people see you. I had just this week, I'm sitting at basketball training, and a friend of mine from school back in the day comes in, and I've got my back turned to him, and he's reading my website out loud because he's looking at the back of my shirt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the goal.
Yeah.
That's what you want. I think those are the opportunities that you're silently creating and passively creating that you didn't have to put a bunch of upfront cash out in order to get.
Yeah.
But if you're always just wearing plain t-shirts that don't talk about your business, or you're not visible, you're not volunteering and letting the folks know in these organizations, this is what I do for a living. You're not sponsoring some of these things. And sponsoring it isn't always $1,000. It could be $10.
Well, it's funny when you say that about the sponsoring things, because like I'll go, and I don't see it as much at our school at Mansfield, but I do see it some. And then when I go to other places, I see it a lot, where you'll have a realtor or a lender or whoever, and they'll have their ad.
Yeah.
Right. They'll be on the Jumbotron, they'll be on the big screen, they'll be whatever, but you never see them. They're not around. Like they bought the banner, they did the thing, but you don't ever see them.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you're spending, I get the idea. I get it. And the schools appreciate it, by the way, you're spending money to help the school and you're getting a little advertising. That's great. But if you really want to get the most for your money, you have to pair that with, hey, I'm here all the time too.
The work,
right? You see me. Yeah. You saw my banner when you walked in to the baseball game, but now you see me, keeping the score, or now you see me cheering on my kid or whatever. Like, you got to have both pieces.
I mean, and that's one of the things that, I keep going back to the billboard. The billboard was amazing for visibility because it was in my area.
Yeah.
Right. And so I would literally have people tagging, like taking a picture and tagging me in it on their social media page with all of their friends and all of their sphere.
Yeah.
And so now all those people knew I was a real estate agent.
Yeah.
And then, for me, everything that I do, my phone number is attached to my website, right? So if you want my phone number, you need to go to the website. So I didn't put my phone number on the billboard. I put the website.
Right.
And so now every time you go to the website and you look and you click a couple of times, now you have to turn around and register, which typically your phone number, your email address. So now I'm collecting data points, which allow me to do my job better. When you're looking for something you already want on my website, now I know it.
Yeah.
And so when I pick up the phone and call you on the number that you gave me, or email you on the email address that you sent, you registered with, I know what you've been looking at. I want to help you with that. And I can be more visible and show up and do my job better. And the general public just thinks you're amazing because they're like, how did he know?
Yeah.
Well, you told me everything I needed to know.
You told me,
and I just showed up and was trying to make sure that you got your goal accomplished. Yeah. But all that stuff is it's an ecosystem, just like anything else that you're trying to do with your business.
Right.
You're trying to make sure that you can get everything funneled back to you, so that way you can show up and be great.
Yeah, everything feeds into everything else. There's nothing that really stands alone. I want you to talk a little bit about video, because you've also, you've got a YouTube channel where you do videos about, rehab projects that you're working on, and showing, all the fun
losses.
stuff. Yeah, the wins we take and the losses. And anybody that knows this business knows there's a lot more losses than there are wins. But one of the things that I hear a lot from realtors now is like, they don't want to do video because they hate their voice, they hate their face, whatever. Everybody's got this self. Yeah,
that is me.
Exactly. Everybody has a certain level of self-consciousness. But what they also don't understand, this ties into AI, like you were talking about a minute ago, but it also ties into people being able to find you and how critical YouTube is. Because when someone goes into Google, the number one search engine on the planet is Google, right? Number two search engine on the planet is YouTube.
Yeah.
And YouTube is owned by Google.
Right.
So if someone goes into a Google search and they're looking for listings, or looking to buy a home and looking to sell their home, anything related to real estate in your area, and you have a good presence on YouTube, it doesn't mean you have to have 1,000 or 5,000 views on every video.
Right.
That doesn't really matter. What matters is that when that search, just go try it out. You type in a search, the first 4 or 5 results will be a video about that topic.
Yeah.
And they'll be usually going straight to YouTube. And so if you've got keywords in there, if you're using, some of your SEO descriptions to make sure that certain words are hit when someone goes into search, the likelihood that you're going to be found is much, much greater. And where it ties into AI is that more and more people, myself included, I really don't use Google a ton anymore, unless it's something like I need immediately necessarily, because I do have, there's just, I can just pull up a tab on my computer real fast and don't have to wait, but, or just type it in the search bar. But when you use AI, when you use ChatGPT, there's a search engine, AI search engine called Perplexity that I really like to use, that just gives you the answer, right? Or Google does it too with Gemini. They'll actually give you an answer
Yeah.
instead of just the pages. But then they all start linking to sources for this information.
Yeah.
Well, I saw a thing the other day where this guy who's on YouTube doesn't even have I think he had like 2,000 subscribers. It wasn't a big channel, but the video that I was watching was showing how this guy went into search for, I think he was a roofer, I want to say, search for roofers in his area. And this guy who made this YouTube channel had built so many different videos about roofing. And like, he just had a large volume of videos out there that one of the suggestions that the AI made was to check out this guy's channel because he had that.
He was available.
He was available.
He had the presence online.
Yes, he had the presence online. And so what AI does now is when you use it to search or find information, yes, it's going to give you an answer. It doesn't give you pages, but it'll still give you links.
Yeah.
And if you have enough out there that when they're searching for that thing, then now this other channel that people go to use to search is now going to also be pulling you up. But if you don't have a YouTube channel, you're not going to be there.
Yeah. Why is that important? Also, you think of it just from that perspective, yes, but also the validation that you're the right person in today's day and age where it's difficult to get sellers. Sellers are just, they have the pick of the litter because everybody needs them and everybody needs buyers and everybody need, and you're trying to compete against the next guy for scrapping for deals. And you don't know how many times, especially as of late, that when I get a new client, it's, man, my aunt is a realtor, or my friend is a realtor, or this person's a realtor, but we went with you because you're the expert. We see all your videos that you do, and you're in construction and you're building this and you're rehabbing that. And it's just, we felt like you have more experience than this person.
Yeah.
Do I really? Maybe not. In some cases, I might not.
Hey, they may have been in the business.
Right? But ultimately, I mean, I do have the experience, but ultimately, that person may have been in the business longer, but I have now validation because I have a presence on Google, I have a presence on YouTube, I have a presence on social media, I have a presence in the public, in the community. So they see me everywhere. And so when they see me everywhere, they're automatically associating my everywhere with success or with experience. So I have a leg up on the competition. I ain't even talked to the people yet. So it's one of those things where
it's third-party validation.
Yeah, you're trying to separate yourself to get the business, and that is one way that you can help yourself get that business.
Well, we have, these days, especially like the biggest, purchase market that's out there right now. The people buying most homes right now are millennials. They are, and Gen Z's coming up pretty hot on their heels. And so what you're seeing is that, yes, the millennial may reach out to mom or dad and say, hey, we want to buy a house. Who's the realtor that you used, or we need a referral or whatever, right? But the first thing they're going to do after that, if they don't do this thing first, is they're going to go online and search for you. They're going to look at your Instagram. They're going to look at your Facebook. They're going to look at if you got a YouTube, they're going to type your name into Google, and they're going to see what comes up. Right. And so if they type your name into Google and they can find nothing, because you have
a secret agent.
You have no presence. You have to be somewhere. And again, you don't have to be everywhere.
Right.
But I mean, look, I think you should have a social media account on every channel. And I think that you should try to post to those at least once in a while. And if you're posting on Facebook regularly for whatever, well, that goes automatically to Instagram. You can post it directly. And if you're, the TikTok part and things is a little different because then you got to get into video. But if you're not doing video, then I think you're in a real deficit.
I think you asked me earlier where we were going with this was asking, how does video affect what you're trying to do? Right. And video is huge. I was a big supporter of when Facebook Live came out, the algorithm where it's like, hey, now you can live. And I was just like, all right, cool. I'm showing everybody everything. I'm showing them all the houses. I'm showing them everything. Right. So, and that was good for business. But my videographer sat me down and was like, hey, man, like, you need to make sure you're doing way too many things for people not to know. Right. And so that's the idea, was for me to get the exposure as to the rehabs that we're doing, the land that we're buying, the land that we're developing, the new construction, dealing with the city, coaching my kids,
whatever,
all of the things that we're doing every single week. It was to show the general public I'm more than just hey, I'm going to knock on your door and put a sign in your yard person. Right. And then doing that, I had to get over the the fear of having my face out there all the time.
You get over that stuff real fast.
Once you do it,
Yeah.
it's like clockwork,
Yeah.
but it's just really doing it. And he did me the same way I did a lot of the agents that we train. Is he put a camera in my face, said, all right, go.
Yeah.
And the first ones, if you watch our episodes, the first
Not good.
2 or 3 episodes
Yeah.
were pretty terrible,
Yeah.
you know, but
Yeah.
ultimately it got better. And then, you know, those terrible ones that you do are the ones that are viewed the most and
Yeah.
shared the most and get you the most clients and the most opportunities. So it's really just video takes it to a whole different level. And then you don't have to have a videographer to do this.
No.
All of our devices and things now have top-end cameras, and then there's so much stuff out there to where you can be great at this, right? For me, it was, you know, getting the exposure, and it quickly turned from getting the exposure once I had the exposure to now, how about we just educate people on what we're doing?
Well, that's what they're looking for. They're not looking for advertising, right? They're looking for information.
Right.
When someone goes on the internet, they're looking for information.
Right.
They're not looking to be sold. They're not looking to be advertised to.
Right.
It's actually quite the opposite.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking for information, then whatever content you're making needs to have information,
Sure.
not just be, hey, I'm so-and-so realtor or lender. Call me if you need a home. I'm
Right.
great at this or whatever. And there's a lot of ways to do video, by the way.
Sure.
If you don't want to see your face, which again, I think that's the best route to go,
You got to
because
show your face.
you're
You can't
showing
be a
yourself.
secret agent. People need to know who you are. That's just my personal opinion, but I think it's a really good opinion.
I'm 100% with you there. But if that's not what you want to do, if you want to start somewhere else, 2 things. One is go online, go to YouTube, and research channels that are doing very well. Just go watch some videos, get some ideas. Secondly, if you don't want to do the on-camera stuff, then you can literally walk through your town. You can film a coffee shop. You can video, the park, the neighborhoods, homes, whatever, and then just talk over that video. You never have to see and when you do that, you can write out a script. You can just read it off a teleprompter and put it in there. And there's so many tools that make the editing, all that stuff very, very easy. Heck, the freaking platforms themselves have a ton of editing tools inside of them that you can use that are very user-friendly. But there are ways to start doing it where you don't have to see your face. You should, but you don't have to see it if you just go about it.
And I think so we like to be real here. We should give them an opportunity. If you're an agent and you're watching this and you are trying to get your business off the ground, and this is something that's new to you that you haven't done it very successfully, the you should part, and we need to throw that out the window. Do it. Okay. Because I'm going to tell you very simply, if you do all of this stuff and you go show this area, the average median home price for this, and you show the water tower and you show the AT&T stadium, and you show why Arlington or Mansfield are amazing places to live, and then all we hear is your voice, all you did was give me a layup to go in and take that person. Once they really are looking for an agent and they're looking for somebody, they looked at your stuff, they liked your stuff, and then they saw my face and said, I recognize that guy. I'm going to use him. He knows all this stuff too.
It's true. It's true.
So if you don't want to give me the layup, you need to put your face on screen.
Yes.
Because if not, they will see mine.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you have to put yourself out there and you have to do it. And look, again, like I've said, there's many ways to do it. I am not great at making videos about whatever. I don't know, just random, here's how to refinance. But what I do and I like to do is this. I do the podcast and I do it live on video, and then I take the video and then I make clips out of it and post those on YouTube and all that. So those go out on a regular basis because they see my face. They see that I'm knowledgeable about particular topics. I talk to people that are also knowledgeable, and that's what drives people to it. So again, you don't have to do it the same way that everybody else does, but the elements are still similar. You got to have your face, you got to have your voice, you got to give information, I think those are the most important pieces to it. And if you're not doing that stuff, then again, like you said, you're just a secret agent.
Yeah, you're a secret agent, man. And there are plenty of them out there. And I'm okay with that because I am not one, and we benefit from those secret agents. But I think that, ultimately the point we want to get across is you have to do the work. You have to show your face. People need to recognize you and know who you are.
Yeah.
You have to have a plan. You have to implement some of these things like video and online marketing in space. You have to work with your sphere. Like, these are all things that are essential. These are not negotiable items. These are non-negotiables.
Yeah.
If you're not going to do these things, you are going to get some success, possibly.
Sure.
You won't get consistency.
Yeah. And
consistency comes through repetition.
Yeah.
And we all know if you're not putting in the reps, shot ain't going in.
That's exactly right. I do want you to go through. So if you were, I'm again, a big proponent believer of something called like your ideal week. And I work with agents about this. I talk about it a lot because I believe that if you set up your week for these are the things that I'm going to do every single week. Now, Are you going to do them every single week? No. Are you going to be perfect at this? No.
Right.
Like there's going to be gaps, and I, you got to leave slack in there. You can't have every hour of every day scheduled because you got fires to put out.
Yeah,
life happens, etc. But if you were going to sit down and lay out, okay, Monday through Sunday, right? Because there's no days off.
Yeah.
All right. Monday through Sunday, if you were going to sit here and go, okay, I'll lay out, this is my ideal week. Here's what I do Mondays in the morning, afternoon, evening. Here's what I do too. Like, how would you go through that?
So I think it's very simple, especially if you've been doing your schedule, you should know your schedule, but I break it down per the day, right? Because as we talked about off camera, like my afternoons and evenings are decimated by, family related activities,
Practices and games.
So things have to be done earlier for us. So earlier in the week, of course, the Mondays of the week, possibly Tuesdays, depending on how bad Sunday was. In the mornings, from that time block from 8 to 4, you have to get your prospecting out. You have to get your scheduling done. You have to set your goals for that particular week, whether you're adjusting your number of calls or your number of emails or your number of follow-ups, you're adjusting that. All of that is done in that time block from 8 a.m. to noon, right?
Because that's when you're free usually, because you don't have a lot of calls coming in.
Exactly.
For people.
Exactly. Yeah. So from 8 to noon, you're working on your sphere, you're working your database, you're setting your schedules, and you're setting your appointments that you're going in your follow-ups, right? From that space after noon, right? I call them low return on investment items. For some people, they might be high, but it's, hey, I needed to get this paperwork sent. Yeah. I need to do this. I need to send this to my transaction coordinator so she can send it,
right?
Or I need to follow up with this, or I need to pay this bill, or I need to do this. That all comes after 12 o'clock.
Right.
If you're going to be a successful realtor, no matter how many years you've been in the business, you have to look at homes. And so previewing homes, looking at a certain amount of homes in person so you can stay, it's almost like practicing, a baseball swing or a jump shot or throwing a football or a volleyball.
Well, if you're a reporter on the NBA, right?
Yeah.
If you're reporting on the NBA, then you have to watch games.
You do.
So when you're a realtor, you're a reporter on the real estate market.
Right.
Then you need to go see houses.
How can I tell you about the latest trends that are coming in our real estate market for what sellers are doing to help them sell their homes or being more creative with this design space?
Or how builders are doing.
If I ain't never looked at a home in the last 6 months,
you
actually have to get out there and physically open doors and go through those motions of where does this house fit? You'll notice there's only a certain amount of ways you can build a house. So if you can see from the outside, you can pretty much tell where the rooms are on the inside if you've done it enough.
Yeah.
Well, those things are things that can be communicated to your client to show that you have experience. And if you'd have never opened the door on your own, then when you open the door for them, y'all are both surprised. You both walking in the house like, dang, I didn't know the kitchen was going to be over there. That's pretty cool.
Well, plus it's weird how the universe works, but when you do real estate activities, whatever that may be, stuff seems to happen. I don't know. So go see 3 houses every day for 5 days. And I promise you, if you did nothing else, somebody's calling you. I don't know why it works like that. But
or the neighbor comes outside, is like, hey, you know what? How's that house look on the inside?
That's right.
And now you've got an opportunity to now become a showing agent, so you just gotta be available. And that's the hard thing that people, the answer that people know, but they don't want to hear.
Yeah.
What do I need to do to be successful? Be available.
That's
what the NFL says. Your best ability is availability.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing in real estate.
Yeah.
Be available.
All right. So morning, you're knocking out your let's call it your marketing activities. To some extent, you're planning for the day because that's the slow time. Your phone's not ringing usually at that point because people are at work or doing whatever. And so that's the time to get your, let's call it like focus thinking in at that point.
For sure. Your high return on investment items is what I call your non-negotiable.
Don't do your laundry. Don't unload the dishwasher.
Don't do that at 8, please.
Do all the other stuff that you need to do to get ready. Then noon hits, and now we start moving into, like you said, some of the lower return items, or going to see homes, getting paperwork done, whatever the case may be. Then you're moving into the evening, and you got to remember this is part of your planning in the morning. That I'm going to practice, right? And I'm running a practice today, and I've got these many kids. I got to get my schedule together. But I'm wearing my shirt. I'm wearing my hat.
That's right.
I'm, so and so had asked me a question at last practice. I'll make sure I bring that up and tell them again, or whatever the case may be.
That's right.
Or heck, I'm talking to the parents afterwards and have a joke about something that a client that I dealt with and think it's funny. If you're deliberate and you plan some of that stuff, it bears fruit.
Yeah. For me, like prime example, we were brand new. We're freshman marching band volunteer parents, right? There's not a lot of us, right? There's only a few of us. And so when I'm in that group initially earlier in the season, I'm talking to people and I don't really have anything in common with these folks other than we're all here for band, right? And so what's the icebreaker? Hey, where you guys live over here? We all live in the same area. Where you guys live?
Yeah.
Okay. And then they tell me, oh yeah, I sold a house over there. Oh, you sell houses? Let me tell you,
amazing.
You know,
yes.
It's just
where do you live? I live over
that.
here. Oh, I sold a house on the street over there. You sell houses?
Like I mean, it's stuff is not hard, but you have to be available. You have to show up. You have to know and be focused. If I was sleepy and groggy, I wouldn't be talking to anybody. I'd be trying to stay awake. In these meetings.
So I would imagine that your Monday through Friday looks kind of similar to that. Is there anything to the Monday, I should say, is there anything in those other days that you think is important to change up a little bit? Or is there a day of the week where you're like, hey, you really want to focus on this during that week? Or you personally, I mean, not everybody has the same schedule.
Yeah. For me, Mondays is a big follow-up day because the weekend traditionally for us as agents, especially during school time, that's the time that we're actually out with clients. That's where most people are off of work. They're off on the weekends. And so you're trying to spend time in those weekends, showing them properties, doing real estate related activities in person. Right. During the week, it's a little tougher because daylight, you don't have a certain amount of daylight. People have to pick the kids up from school. They have to get off of work. And so you're working with 3 or 4 hours, mainly, those lock boxes cut off at 9 o'clock. So you're not showing anybody dead at night. Right. And so what I try to do is Monday is make sure that I can set most of my stuff for the week. I try not to set a bunch of stuff on Monday.
Gotcha.
That way
pretty open. So you can.
Yeah. And then the other days of the week, not the weekend, but the week are focused on our high return on investment items early, showing a little bit staggering throughout the week for the rest of the week. Weekends, you try to keep it wide open because that's when most people are available. And that's when I am in person for the most part.
Yeah. When do you do your social media posts? Do you do them more during the week? You schedule them?
Great question. When do we do our social media post? Okay. So I have a calendar, right? That tells me typically what to post or give me an idea of what to post and when to post it. Right. I have found that the worst times to post, in my opinion, this is me, Fridays, especially Friday afternoon.
Everybody's doing other things. And the weekends in the evening, I virtually get no engagement then. And so those days are out. Everything else for me, I'm posting at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. One of those 2 times in the morning, pretty much every day for whether it's business or non-business. Sure.
Because I've heard and I feel like this is true. When I post the same time around the same time every time, then you start to get more hits because people know you're going to be available there. The algorithm knows you're going to be available at that time and you're continually consistent. So you get better engagement that way. And the name of the game for online posting is engagement. That's why it's social media.
Yes, right. And you have to engage with others.
You have to engage. You can't just post and run.
No, that's the part where I suck too. Sometimes is and it's not just it's not just commenting when people comment on your stuff, but it's actually being on, because I just don't particularly love being on social media. I get on Twitter because I read news, and that's pretty much
That's the one that I suck at the most. It's the one I'm hardly ever on, and I know I need to do better, but it's just reading through the jumbo.
I don't think you do. I don't think Twitter. I think Twitter is nothing other than if you want to know what's going on in the world. Okay, fine. But outside of that, you're not.
I've never gotten any business from Twitter.
So that's not. I think Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I think those are way more impactful. But my point is just that, like me personally, I don't get on them very often. I don't get on TikTok because it's a death hole. Because you'll be on there for 12 hours. You look up, like, crap, what was I doing here? And then, and then on the other ones, like I'm not an Instagram user, really. I just don't get on it just for whatever reason.
I'm on Instagram a lot. Obviously, it's funny because this is kind of off topic, but I used to, and I told my wife this a long time ago. She understands it now. I used to watch sports highlights on ESPN.
Right.
Now I watch them on Instagram.
Okay, because all the channels you follow, they're all posting there.
It's I get exactly what I want.
I get that on Twitter.
On Instagram for sports highlights, whether it's NFL and NBA, because those are the 2 that I'm watching all the time, especially the NBA. I get the clips, I get the breakdown, the 3-4 different angles, and then I'm done. And I'm like, I know what happened in the game.
Yes. I don't have to watch it. I don't have to spend hours in watching it. Yeah.
I don't have to rerun the Sports Center episode or rewatch that, for an hour.
But on the engagement thing, what I was saying is that you have to like be on there.
Yes.
You have to use it. And again, you don't have to do every platform, just do one, but get on there and comment on people's stuff, like it, share it, whatever.
Provide useful information, links to things like that to get them to the answer that they want.
Yeah, because reciprocation is huge. Because if you're on Facebook all the time and you're commenting on people's pictures and their vacations and whatever, hey, congratulations, blah, 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 whatever you want to say, right? Well, then when you actually start putting some stuff out there, the reciprocation are huge. Yeah, you're going to get a ton of responses that way.
And I've had people who I've told to do this, and I've done it myself, and it works. Is we have a lot of people that we don't see all the time, but we're connected through social media. How many times have you just sent them a message and said, "Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, how you doing?
Haven't seen you in 8 years.
Yeah,
how's the family?
Yeah,
it ain't got to be real estate related. It could just be personal.
Yeah,
hey, we had that class in biology together. Haven't seen you since then, man. You're looking good.
Yeah, hope you're doing well.
Yeah. And that turns into, hey, man, you're the real estate guru. I've seen your stuff. Yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
Let's talk more.
Yep.
And then it's just not. This stuff ain't hard.
No, it's not. It's hard to do. You know what I mean?
So.
It is for a lot of people. And I think it comes back to where we started with this was all of these things are possible if you program your day.
Yes.
And if you program your week and you program yourself and you're like, well, I don't want to be a robot. Well, I'm sorry. I mean, your day's getting programmed one way or another, whether you're doing it or someone else is doing it, or the schedule and your fires that you have to put out every day is doing it. But it sounds silly, but if you sit there and go, at 4:00 on my calendar, I'm going to reach out to 3 people that I haven't spoken to in 2 years on social media. I'm going to send them a DM. I'm going to comment on whatever. And I'm going to do those 3 people. And that's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to do that. But it's in my schedule. It's on my calendar. It's something that I am deliberate about, and I'm going to plan for it to do it. And I do it. And if I do it every week, all of that stuff bears fruit. But you have to schedule yourself. You have to plan it out.
Well, I mean, confidence is built through repetition.
Yeah.
So, it takes 21 times for you to do something for it to become a habit.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, well, writing these 5 thank you notes is dang near impossible on day 3.
Yeah.
But on day 333, this is easy.
Yeah.
I'm saying this, sign, boom, I'm out.
Yeah.
Not hard.
Well, I'm going to have you come back. We're going to talk about 2 things before we go. I'm going to have you come back before the end of this year because we're in October now. And I want to get to, I think one of the things that you do really well is business planning. So I want to do another episode where we kind of go through, step by step, like how to build your business plan for 2025, what it should look like, what, core competencies you should focus on, how you should build it out, and like really give like a step-by-step walkthrough. So I want to do that. So we'll put that on the calendar, but then also I want to get and I'm sure we'll have a little dialogue on this, where you think we're headed as a real estate market into 2025. What do you think 2025 is going to look like? You've been doing it for a long time, 20 years into this thing. We've seen the ups and downs. Where are we going?
Man, I think 2025 is going to look a little better than what it was in 2024, but not by much.
Right.
I really don't. I think that what's true right now is going to hold true even next year, where if, the market is always, as of late, we haven't had enough supply.
Yep.
Which increases demand.
Which is crazy because when you say that right now, there's somebody out there going, what are you talking about? I've got 6 listings
and nothing's selling. It's like, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Stuff is selling, but there's so many people coming and there's so many people that are available. It's just so many people are also on the fence, but we still don't have enough. If everybody today was like, I want to buy something, we don't have enough houses for them.
Well, we're the segment of the market that's missing right now that I don't think a lot of people understand. That is a huge segment of every market every year is the person that I own my home.
Mm-hmm.
I need to buy another home because I'm moving for whatever reason, and really some people have to move to have a choice, but it's just we're tired of being here or whatever. Well, those people are not going anywhere.
That's right.
I read the other day, it was something, I want to say it was 25 or less out of every 1,000 homes are being turned over right now, which is like the lowest it's ever been.
Yeah.
So the only segment of the market that's active right now is the people that have to move because job, school, whatever, or the first-time home buyers, right? And they're going after a lot of new builds because new builds are still throwing the farm at you for incentives and whatever. But then good luck trying to turn around and sell that new build a year later if you have to move again.
Exactly.
Because it's not going to appraise and you're going to have an issue.
Exactly.
But that's the market right now. So there are people buying. And there are people, we're just missing a good segment of it, of the people that are buying and selling or selling and buying at the same time. And so that's why you can still say we have an inventory shortage, because the moment that starts to turn even just a little bit, you're going to run into multiple offers again.
Yeah. And I think that, as an agent, one thing that can help you, one thing that has helped us is trying to diversify within the space that we're already good at and we're already passionate at, which is in this world of real estate. Okay. Well, as opposed to just my life hangs in the balance if I, don't buy or help people buy or sell a home, then I'm done. That's the only way that I can make money. Now, me trying to be the home builder, and when I say a home builder, I'm not building 50 homes a year.
No.
We're trying to consistently close 1 to 2 homes a quarter.
Right.
Well, the income from that helps me not have to focus as much on the income from being an actual real estate agent.
Yeah.
Having a few properties that are able to be rehabbed and have some consistent money coming in on the rental real estate side, helps relieve some of the burden when new construction isn't doing so well, or my real estate sales are not as plentiful as they were in 2022.
Right.
That piece of it, development.
Yeah.
It gives you another space to kind of iron out some details and potentially flip and make some money. Like I've flipped land before where I bought something, I planned on building it. I didn't build it because something happened, and I turned around and sold that same vacant spot of land for way more money than what I bought it for.
Right.
And that chunk of change helped alleviate the burden from these. So it's like, you have to take this time and continue to educate yourself and continue to work those real estate muscles in order to get stronger in different areas other than just what you primarily focus on.
Yeah.
If you can do that, times like this, even though they're tough, they're not as tough.
Yes.
The sky's not falling.
No. Well, and it's just hard. And I think it's hard for everybody, because we did go from, the most prolific real estate market that we've literally ever seen for a good solid 2 years to the worst real estate market that we've seen in 30 years immediately after that.
Right.
And so that just causes a lot of shock to the system, and there's a lot of change that happens. And I'm in agreement with you. I think next year will be better. I think the spring of 2025 should be pretty good, but I also feel like it's not going to be dramatically different. And I think rates are going to come down, but they're going to come down slower, and they're not going to go down in a straight line. Just as we've seen, rates were in the low 6s almost. And if you were doing a government loan, FHA or VA, they were in the 5s just literally 5 days ago.
Yeah.
And now they're back up, getting close to 7 again.
Yeah.
And it's all because of things. I think it's a short-term deal. I do think that they're going to come back down. I think there's a lot of this election thing is really throwing the whole everything out of whack for a million different reasons.
For sure.
And so as soon as that passes, I think you're going to see things start to change quite a bit and settle in a little bit more one way or the other. Doesn't matter. I don't think it matters that much who wins, but I think you're going to see things start to settle back in, at least in our world, in real estate. You might be in other worlds say like, you're crazy. It's going to be different. That's fine. But in our world, I think it'll settle down. I think it'll stabilize, which is ultimately what we want. That's what investors want. That's what sellers want. That's what everybody wants, is just stable. Just want it to be stable.
I think if you are trying to figure out how to make your 2025 better than your 2024 has been, there's a ton of good nuggets on here that you can go ahead and start implementing now. You may not perfect it now, but you start it, and starting is half the battle. Go ahead and start implementing some of these things, whether it's a marketing or how you're involved in community or how you're doing your daily schedule, how you're waking up in the day, whether you're implementing video. All of those things will help you if you start now. So when 2025 comes, you're ready and you're available and you're prepared to take on these opportunities that are going to come your way. You will beat the next guy.
Yeah. I would say, if you're looking for somewhere to start, I would start with planning. I would just, and when I say planning, I don't mean plan out your year. I mean, literally today, at the end of the day, or really it's better sometimes before the end of the day, take 30 minutes and plan tomorrow.
Yes.
What am I going to do tomorrow?
Yes.
Like, what is tomorrow going to look like? How am I going to set it up? And then if you do that, then is it going to go according to plan? No, because it never does. But leave yourself another time at the end of the day again to plan the next day, right?
Well, I'll say, and this is from personal experience, I deal with a lot of contractors, right? And so with, a lot of the rehabs or new construction things that we do, we have a list of things that need to be done in phases in order for us to get from start to finish on that property. Yeah. And so one of the things that I struggled with when we first started doing this was, how do I keep them on task?
Yes.
Right. How do I make sure? And if you pick up the phone and call them every day, they get annoyed.
Yes.
Right. And so, I now have software that allows them to get text message tasks, updated, text message tasks throughout the day.
Yeah.
And you would have thought it was night and day on how efficient
Productive
it
and
is now, because they just get that little text message and you set the time, you set the priority, which one comes first, which one comes last. And now they get those and it's like, oh yeah. And so as opposed to me calling them saying what's going on, now they call me and say, hey, I checked this off the list. I checked this off the list. I got your picture for this. I checked this off the list. We're good.
Yeah.
You do the same thing for yourself
Yes.
with your reminder app in your phone, which everybody has.
Yes.
And if you don't get them all, well, I got 6 out of 7. I know mentally that was a productive day.
Yeah. Well, and I would say too, it's just like to me, it's no different. And I'm,
or if you're Susan, put a sticky note on the back of your phone.
I'm possibly talking to myself here a little more too, but and you have to remind yourself of this stuff. But it's also, you don't have to do, because this is what happens. This happens to me. Sit down. Okay, I got to plan my day for tomorrow, and I've got this mountain of tasks I'm trying to accomplish. And I look at that, and at first I go, okay, I'm going to do this at 9. I'm going to do this at 10. And I go through and then I've got like 12 things in a day that I'm trying to accomplish. And then inevitably, always, I look up at the end of that, and I did 2 of those things or 3 of those things. And I would tell you that when you sit down and do this, because your brain gets going, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. You'd be amazed at how much your brain starts kicking into high gear when you're planning, is to go, okay, pull back.
Yeah.
What are the most 2 or 3 important things that I need to accomplish tomorrow? I've got these other things. And if I have time, great, I'll get to it. But if I don't, I just need to make sure these 3 things get done.
Right. And I call those, like we talked about earlier, the non-negotiables.
Yes.
That's the 8 to noon schedule. For me, it says sometime between 8 and noon. These non-negotiables have to be done. And if we can do that, then these other things, these other 8 items, I can space out over the next 4 days, doing 2 a day.
Yeah.
But those non-negotiables have to be done first.
Yeah.
And so if you can do that, man, categorize this thing, and it will make your life so much easier. You can effectively be lazy in your day in certain spots.
Yeah. And the planning will build on itself, because once you plan one day and you plan the next day, and then that helps you come up with things that you need to do in your marketing and your database and your sphere. And all of that builds on itself.
For sure.
And it all starts with planning. So, I mean, if at the bare minimum, if you need one thing to take away from this today, just one thing is take away, plan tomorrow.
Yes.
That's it.
Please.
That's it. Don't have to do anything else. Just plan tomorrow.
Be very intentional when you plan too. So that way it'll help you out with the rest of the week.
But well, dude, I appreciate it. Thank you as always for coming in. We're already over an hour. So thank you for doing this. We'll schedule another time. We'll come back. We'll go through the business plan before the end of the year. So heading into 2025, we can kind of help everybody get themselves lined up and what steps to go through, what categories to put together, all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
We'll go through that. And then I'll have another market update next week. We'll keep talking about rates as we do every single week, because it changes all the time. I'll come at you with that. And then we'll talk a little bit more about timing on refinancing. So thanks for everybody that stuck around.
Yep.
Conrad, appreciate you as always. We're looking forward to number 8 next time, and we'll get after it. But everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you later.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right.